FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before the House Judiciary Committee today. The hearing, Oversight of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, examined the politicization of the nation's preeminent law enforcement agency under the direction of FBI Director Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland. Representative Troy Nehls, Republican Texas, a former sheriff, destroyed Dirty Chris Wray during his testimony before the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. Nehls brought video and photos of Wray EPPS encouraging Trump supporters to enter the U.S. Capitol on January 5 and January 6 and then leading the charge through the first STE of barriers to the U.S. Capitol. Wray EPPS also was filmed hurling a massive metal sign at police that day. He never was charged for this criminal act. Representative Troy Nehls brought video and photos of Wray EPPS and did not play around with Chris Wray. Nehls opened up his testimony asking Wray about the resources he used on the politicized January 6 investigation. Nehls caught Wray lying about moving agents working on child trafficking to work on arresting Trump supporters who walked inside the U.S. Capitol on January 6. Representative Troy Nehls, it is clear that you guys are dealing with some of the sickest bastards in our society. I have an article here from CNN in January 2022 calling the January 6 investigation the biggest investigation in FBI history. And what shocks me about this, quite honestly, is that you don't mention January 6. Again, the biggest investigation, not one time in your 14-page testimony, you don't mention it one time. And that makes me ask myself the question, what the hell are you hiding? Sir, you mentioned 38,000 agents and support personnel in your agency. How many FBI agents and support personnel have you assigned to the January 6 investigation? Chris Wray, I don't know that. I know the number. I know we have a lot of people working on it. Nehls, fair enough. Knowing that you are dealing with some of the sickest people in our society with investigations related to child sex trafficking, have you reassigned any of these agents or personnel to investigate January 6, yes or no? Wray, I don't believe we have reassigned people away from child exploitation. Nehls, let me just say this, Director. I find that disturbing. Because last month, Steve Friend, he testified before the Weaponization Committee. Mr. Friend was a domestic terrorist investigator for you, and he was told by one of his superiors that January 6 was, I quote, a higher priority than pursuing child pornography cases. End quote. And for those of you watching in America, understand today's FBI is more concerned about searching for and arresting grandma and grandpa for entering the Capitol building that day than pursuing the sick individuals in our society who prey on our children. And, Mr. Wray, your priorities are flawed, but let's rehash what we know so far, all right? It's the largest investigation in FBI history, and you don't mention it in your testimony. Agents have been reassigned from child exploitation cases and so on. Nehls then went on to batter Chris Wray on Wray EPPS. Wray and the FBI continue to lie about Wray EPPS and his actions on January 6. Representative Troy Nehls, there he is breaching the line going in at the first breach into the Capitol grounds of restricted area. Mr. Wray, you have arrested hundreds of people related to January 6 and there have been people arrested for breaching Capitol grounds. Couy Griffin is an example. Rachel Jenko is an example. And then we go to Mr. Brandon Straka. Brandon was arrested for disorderly and destructive conduct which included yelling, I quote go as rioters tried to empty the Capitol. These three never went into the Capitol, they never assaulted anyone. So let's be honest with each other. There is very little difference between the actions of Wray EPPS and Brandon Straka that day. But yet Straka was arrested and EPPS wasn't. EPPS also testified to the January 6 committee. He was back at his hotel when video evidence showed that he wasn't. He lied. He was on the Capitol grounds just as Brandon Straka was. EPPS even texted his nephew at 2:12 p.m. and said I quote I was in the front with a few others. It was on the video. I also orchestrated it. Now look into the camera, sir, when you answer my next question. Are you going to arrest Mr. EPPS, yes or no? Chris Wray, I'm not going to engage here in a discussion about individual people who are or not. Representative Troy Nehls, you just watched the video. I'm an old law dog. I understand a little bit about probable cause. There was very little difference in what he did and Mr. Straka. You can see him. He's encouraging. I almost think he's inciting a riot. He's encouraging people the night prior to go into the Capitol. The day of to go into the Capitol and he was at the first breach and he breached the restricted area. Everybody, a lot of people getting arrested for not going into the Capitol but they're in the restricted area. But yet raps who many people feel fed Federal Fed right. And there's a lot of cloud over there. So my point is this. You arrested a lot of folks for unlawful activity. You just saw the video and I will tell you if you don't arrest Mr. there's a reason behind it. I believe you know what it is and it appears to me you are protecting this guy. I strongly recommend you get your house back in order. With that, I yield back. Republic. Nehls' final remarks to Chris Wray, shame on you.